Beach in New Zealand. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2471. Today we're doing Brick Walls part 2. Due to a grocery delivery it was within the time delivery window. They didn't text me beforehand. I had to get off yesterday to go get my groceries so that because they won't leave them if you're not home. So we're back with part 2 of Brick Walls. Yesterday we talked about the fun that brick walls can be, how they make you think in different ways of how can you find the information. So we're going to continue that conversation today, how we find the information without going through regular routes. Sometimes you do have to go through regular routes, but I don't know if I still have it up. I do have one DNA match that I am trying to figure out how we are related. And according to the DNA match, I've got both DNA from both sides of my family, so mother's side and my father's side, to create this DNA match. So now the task is to find how we're matched on my father's side and how we're matched on my mother's side. And so I've got their tree open. They have like 150 people in their tree, which is awesome because it's so many more names that I can research. And I'm in the process of writing out that list of names. Sometimes I'll put my laptop here and work between the two computers. But this time I was just sitting in the recliner there and just jotting down the names and all of that sort of thing. And if I come across one that I have a real strong connection for, like I'll look at a name and go, pretty sure that's in my tree, I will go and have a look at my tree to see if it's there. And sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't. And sometimes I get a really strong feeling about it and I'm sort of like, okay, well, they're supposed to, I've got to plug my keyboard in. Sorry, plugging the keyboard in. All right, it's now getting juice. And sometimes I have to just stop because there'll be a gut feeling saying you need to have a look up this name. And I'll go and look up the name and there's nothing there. And I'm like, well, what the heck are you doing? So this one's may take a while because there's 150 people on this tree, 150 plus. Mine has over 10,000 names in it. And I'm looking at a tree with over 150. When you got to look up the different names and stuff. Now, some of those we can eliminate because it's a family, down the male line, it's all the same. It's the female line that we're checking that changes every generation. There's a new female name added in. And this tree goes up to, I think I looked at yesterday and said it was like 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th great-grandparents on some lines. Some will just go to the second great-grandparent and stop there. Some go 3rd and 4th. Some go, I've got one line in this tree that I'm looking at that goes up to 7 great-grandparents. So I was like, wow, but it's got to be before that. So I'm going to look on, and when I go into my tree and I search, I just put the name in there. It searches both sides of the tree. I can find things that way. And then when I find the name, I can then click on it and go in there and I can see how it fits into my family tree. Is it on my mum's side? Is it on my dad's side? And we'll see how that will all connect up. Now, I did have an interesting one come up the other day when I was looking up a connection. And this one came up through my mum's side of the family. Yes, my mum's side of the family. I was looking at that one. And I'm tracing it back. Like their tree went back to, and they already told us who the common great-grandparents were. On some of them, they will tell us that if the information is available. On others, they don't. And so it told us who the common great-grandparent was. And I'm like, okay, let's go verify this then. So we went and verified this because you always got to verify everything. Don't just take it for gospel that person's in their tree, therefore it must be correct. No. I made that mistake years ago. I'm still cleaning up from that. Trust me on that one. I had one where I thought, oh, this is great. This tree matching thing is awesome. Somebody's put the research in there, and I accepted that tree into my tree and ended up with about 40 people I have to go and remove. And I keep forgetting where it is. And every now and again, I come across it and do some cleanup. We're talking back in the late 1999, year 2000, somewhere around there, whenever Ancestry went live and you had the ability to do that. And I was using Family Tree Maker at the time. And at the time, Family Tree Maker was only available on the PC. Then they made it available on the Mac, and that's when I made the error. So, but I was already with Ancestry at that point, and this is when I started putting the little green leaves in, and you started finding them. And I learned that mistake the hard way. So I always warn people, if you come across green leaves, that's fine. It is a hint. And a hint is not a fact until you prove that that hint actually fits into that tree. Now, there are some things that you will know about, that you may know about the person, where you can look at the hint and you can go, yep, I know that all that's to be true for that person, and you accept it straight away. Other ones, go research. You have to do the research. And these can help break down brick walls. So another way of breaking down brick walls is looking to see what hints are coming through and, what hints are coming up. And then not only just what hints are coming up, but also other hints showing another tree that you could maybe use as a stepping stone into researching, because what information do they have? And you can actually click on the tree and go on and have a look. And you can see what sources that they use. I've been into trees where there are 0 sources. I am out of that tree so fast, you wouldn't believe it. If they don't have sources backing up their information, I am not touching that tree. No way, no how. I want to know what sources you have been using, which is why when you are researching, it is important to keep track of the sources. Even if you don't find anything, keep track of the source, because you'll waste time going back to that source and checking it again if you don't have a log that you've already been there. And that's one of the important things with brick walls. Keep a track of the logs, because sometimes you might end up going back to the same facts several times and going, well, this kind of looks familiar. Why does this look? Oh, because you only saw it yesterday or the day before. Now Ancestry is doing a better job of tracking which ones you have seen. So when you do a Ancestry, hit the search on Ancestry button, it comes up with these ones and will actually highlight ones that you've already seen. I'm sort of like, well, that's really handy now. But sometimes I still go back in and check them, because I got to check my sources, my log list. Have I got them in there? And it's just a matter of copying and pasting the URL that you go into to see that record. And you just put in a column. Did I find anything useful? No. Was this connected to my tree? No. That's all you need to put. No. You don't need to go into explanations or anything. You just need to go, no. If you want to go into an explanation as to why it doesn't fit in your tree, you can put one in there if you want. But then what you can also do is that you can go back to the person in Ancestry and you can go to the notes and you can put in there the notes. Now, I have one person who I'm not sure if they fit into my tree or not. They are a brick wall for me right now. I have several brick walls. This one, I was researching it and I actually came across another person's tree, which they had it public. So I was able to go in and check their information on this person who I'm trying to figure out, do they fit in the tree or not? And they actually had written in there a note, and the note could be a comment. Sorry, comments were written in there. And I had a look at, and I read through, and their comments were quite long. And I'm reading through these comments, and I'm like, this is awesome. This is what I need to be doing. They went in there and said, we have researched this, and this, and they put all the places that they had researched, all the public records that they had researched, and could not find any trace of this person. So therefore, they could not prove, they use that word, they could not prove that this person actually belonged in this particular family tree. And they even listed some of the sources that they had been to. They had listed what they found when they were there. You know, names were not matching up, dates were not matching up. The person's name matched, but nothing else matched. And I thought, this is brilliant, because people coming behind them can now go and have a look at that and say, oh, well, hang on, they went to that site, that. We now have these records available online. Let's go check the new records. And you might be able to crumble down the brick wall that way. I have one tree that I'm researching, which is the Custer family, as in, yes, General George Custer, who did not have any descendants. But there is a line of that tree that may be connected to that tree. So I found 2 books. One was published in 1912, and it was a shorter version of the Custer family. And they had the lines listed A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I think I'm trying to remember if G was the last one or if they went a little further. And you could go down these particular, you go through the book and go down these lines. It had an interesting note there. Underneath A, it written that that is possible that G may actually be related to A. But at the time that this book was published, this is 1912, the resources were not available. Maybe the resources will be available in future years. So this is 1912. No computers. It's all boots on the ground, going and actually into the archives and looking in different archives and looking up records, physically looking up the records and everything. Then fast forward to 1942, there was another copy of this book published, more expanded, with more details in there. And again, it had the claim that they are pretty sure that G and A are related. They're just not sure how, and that the resources were not available at the time for them to be able to research further. The guy who compiled this had, I think in his acknowledgements, like 12 people in different areas of the country researching the stuff for him, going and doing the boots on the ground research in the areas that they were in for this information. And so that's that's been a brick wall for a while. And every now and then I go back and I have a look at it. But what I can do is I can take his book and I can definitely trace back what he has in the book. I can definitely confirm what is in the book based on the records that I have found. And so now we're just going to find that link between, see if there is a link between A and G. That was thought there may be a link back in 1912 when they first researched this book. And here we are 112 years, 14 years later. Is there still information? Is there still information out there that we can't access because it's not online, or is there information now available online that we can go and verify if there is a link between line A and line G? There was a rumor with the Custer family that there was actually one of the great grandfathers in the Custer family that had brought his family from Germany to the US with him and his 24 sons. That is one story that is out there, and that General George Custer goes back to this guy and line A goes back to this guy. We have not found the link yet. So we cannot prove that. So we do have brick walls that come up in all sorts of cases and things like that. But it's a lot of fun because now it's sort of like, yes, now I can get, if it comes along too easy, it's sort of like, there's got to be something wrong. There's times when I'm putting a thing in there, and because I've gotten to know the person that I'm researching so well, I can look at hints very quickly and go, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, or maybe. Yes, there is maybes that you can put in there. You can go, yes, no, or maybe. And the maybes are the ones we've got to research a little more. But a lot of times I'm going, yes, no, this is too easy. There's got to be a catch here somewhere. 9 times out of 10, there's not. But you still got to investigate anyway. It's like, is this really all of his information? Did I miss something along the way? Did I miss him? Did I put something as a no when it should have been a yes? So I'll go back and look at all the hints that I have marked as ignore for this particular person. I will look at all the ones that have been accepted. Are they the correct ones? So yes, I will go back and check my work over and over and over again. And I will do this for all my client stuff. So all my clients' trees are still in my Ancestry account. Excuse me. And still got sore ribs. Sore ribs are not fun. Not fun. For all of those of you who have had bruised ribs, you have my sympathy. Those that have had broken ribs, OMG. If this is what it's like with non-broken ribs, I would hate to imagine what it's like with broken ribs. I have more respect for those with broken ribs now when they can't move and stuff. And I have more respect for Brad when he went through the time when he had broken ribs as well. Yes, from a car accident. And it was his seatbelt that caused the broken ribs. Thankfully, because he had not been wearing his seatbelt, he wouldn't have survived that accident. But anyway, that's beside the point. So back to the brick walls. So finding these brick walls is good because it makes you stop and pause and verify the information that you have. And then you got to step back and go, okay, I can't find it this way. How can I, or what other resources can I use to help find this information? So by the way of wording the question, instead of, where do I look next? No. How can I research this better to get the answers that we need? Or what resources do I need now that I can use to further my search on this person? Because when you put the how can I or the what resources do I need, your brain goes into a different mode. Just saying, oh, where do I go next? That's just a general question. Where do you go next? Oh, we'll just go down to the shops and go shopping or something. It's not specific enough. So how can I take the information that I have and use it to find the information that's missing? How can I utilize these resources to find the information that I need? So there's just in the way, or what other resources can I utilize that might give me this information? And you've sometimes got to think out of the box. Newspapers.com is one of my favorite resources. I love reading the story, master storyteller. I love reading the stories that are in there. And some of them are related to the people. Like I'll come up with the name and I'll go in there and I'll have a look and I'll get caught up in the story. And I'm like, okay, this is this particular story. And I've got to go back further to find where's the original piece for that story. Because this was this one I found was a continuation piece. Nothing it turned out to do. Right name, right era, right place, totally different person. The last name was the correct last name, but it wasn't anybody related to the tree that I was researching at the time. But it was a fascinating story. And you come across those and you kind of get a little sidetracked and hooked up in those. And you're sort of like, well, maybe that person, they're in the same area. It's the right time. They're in the same town. Surely there's got to be some connection there somewhere. And so now you start researching it to find out it. So I'm researching it from another family who I think doesn't have anything to do with the family that I'm researching, that live in the same town. It's the right time. Everything else is lining up. It's just the first name that's not correct. And so, well, maybe these people are related to this one. And if I research this family, maybe I can find that link to the other family and fill in that missing information. Instead of going straight up your tree through the grandparent lines, sometimes take a look at their siblings, because sometimes in order to go up, you have to go sideways. And when you look at sibling information, there's stuff that may come up on sibling information that you won't find in your direct line, but it's the piece that you need that fits into that direct line. It helps you find that information in the direct line. It helps confirm the information in the direct line, or it gives you a new place to look for the direct line. So brick walls are fascinating things. I love them because when I get them, it's like, ooh, let's dig this a little deeper. Where else can we, what other resources can I use? And I have a checklist. What did I do with my checklist? Oh, I haven't printed a new one yet. But I have a checklist, and I go down that checklist, and it's got like all the regular stuff like birth. Have I checked their birth records, the death records, the baptismal records, marriage records, newspapers. What other ones do I have in there? Census reports, naturalization records if they apply. And then there's a few other things on the list. And these are just my core places that I go and look. And as I find new research tools, I go in and I'll add them to the checklist. So now my checklist is getting longer and longer each time I go and look, because I find a new resource that had the information that I needed. And sometimes newspaper.com doesn't have it, but newspaperarchives.com might have it. And newspaperarchives.com has more international papers in it than newspapers.com. So, which was very useful for one when I was researching some stuff in Jamaica, because I found the newspaper stories that I needed on newspaperarchives.com because they were not present on newspapers.com. So sometimes you've got to look at, is there another site that may have that information? Because the newspapers.com concentrates mainly on US newspapers, but it does have some international. Newspapersarchive.com has more international newspapers than it does US-based newspapers. And sometimes it might have the little out-of-the-way newspapers, like the little, in New Zealand, we call them the local rag. The local rag is the local newspaper for that particular community that comes out once a week and gets dumped in your mailbox. They still do the local rags around here. They're awesome. They have in there information about the area that you're in. There's the events coming up. This is about this business. This is about that business. Here's some hints and tips. Here's some articles about the local area. Here's the highlights for the last week of other stuff that happened in this area. And it's just full of local news, like local to your community news. It's a community newspaper is what it is. It's not a national newspaper. And sometimes you'll find the community newspapers are not on something like USA Today, on newspapers.com, but it could be on newspaperarchives.com. And in New Zealand, we've got pastpapers.gov.co.nz, I think it is, but it's called Past Papers. And it has all newspapers that were printed between the 1840s through to like 1980 something, like 1985, I think it was. All the different newspapers that were published during that time. And you can go and search, and they're all searchable, which makes it very interesting reading and that sort of stuff as well. You also have archives, like National Archives, where you can go and research people's names in the archives to see where they come up in archival records. You also have state archives where you can go, some state archives you can search, some you can search online, some you can't. Some are bringing stuff online. And just remember that any records that you find online represent about 5% or less of all records available worldwide. Let me think, chew on that one for a bit. There are millions and millions and millions of records available online, and they represent 5% or less of all the records that are available in the world that you can go and search. And most of them you're going to do in person. Like if I go on Family Search, there's sometimes where they will show that they have a document, but you can't see it because you have to be there in person to see it. Or you have to call and get one of their genealogists there to go and pull it and have a look at the information. They will either transcribe the information for you, or depending on the copyright of the information, will determine whether or not they can transcribe the information for you and send it to you, or take a photo of it and send it to you. So some stuff cannot be put online because of copyright issues. So that is why some records are not available online, because of copyright. And so you have to be in person to see it, and others you can have them copy it and send you and email you a copy of whatever the record is. So there's all sorts of different places that you can go. Archives are a lot of fun. Remember my trip to the archives with my mum? It was the old archives building. I think it was in the basement of the Air New Zealand building, if I remember correctly. And this is why they were building the new building that they're now, well, it was brand new back then. They were building the building that they are now in. And we went down and it was all darkish, not dark, but dim, and it had that old library book smell, the old mildew smell and all that sort of stuff. And you had to look up in the card catalog. Those that don't know what a card catalog is, it's a 3x5 index card. And there's just these long drawers that fit these cards in, and they're just long drawers like this, and they may have about 500 cards in them, 600 cards, and you've got to go through with your fingers. And there's a certain format for filling out those cards, which, if you look at how you have to report sources, when you have to cite your sources, it's exactly the same way. So if you were a librarian in your past life, and you learned how to type up those index cards, those catalog cards, for when you're citing sources, it's the same way. It's the same. When I was looking at the other day, and I was using my book. Do I have it over there? Yes, I do. I have Evidence Explored. I'm not going to go get it because it's a heavy book. It's that one right there that my finger's on. It's about this thick. It's that one. That dark black one with the brown writing on right there. I'm not going to go get it because it's a very heavy book. But when I was looking at that the other day, I'm like, this reminds me of how I used to do index, and I used to do the cards for the card catalog in the library. So there you go. But there's all sorts of resources out there. Asking people, if you join genealogy societies, you can, if there's somebody's in an area where you want research done, you can always go to one of the genealogy societies or family history societies, and ask for somebody there to go and research for you in a particular area, to go look up a certain record, rather than you jumping on a plane and going there and finding it. Utilize the network. The network of the genealogists is awesome. A lot of times, if you need something in, if I need something in Indiana, which is where my mother-in-law's family moved to from Germany, I can find the Family History Society there in Indiana. I can go in and say, hey, is anybody available to go and look at this? I need this record researched. And they can go look it up for me. Use the network. Use the network. It's another great way of getting around brick walls. But I have rabbled on long enough, so I am out of here. Go out, and I hope that helps. If you want more information about dismantling brick walls, then scan this QR code right here and fill it out, and let's set up a 30-minute discovery call to get you smashing down those brick walls. But go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hei kona rā.